We are in Shmuel I, 22, chapter 22. We did the first couple of it's the end of Zayin Adar, which is the birthday, and the outside of Moshe Rabbeinu, a very auspicious day. Usually it's it's called the special holiday of the Chevra Kadisha. So you're from Chevra Kadisha, right? Well,
No,
you did.
I'm not part of
You were in the past. I don't know.
No, but I would like to be on that.
All right. Anyway, but
Yeah.
it's a special day. Anyway, we are studying Shmuel I, chapter 22. David is running away. David is on the run. He already escaped in the last minute from his first stop. His first stop outside of Israel. He ran out. He had to leave the country, and he went to Achish, to the city of the Philistines. And over there, they had some relatives of Shimshon, Goliath, the brother of Goliath, was there. So he just killed Goliath not long ago. So the brothers are sore and unhappy and wanted to kill him. So he somehow escaped from there at the last minute by making himself look like a loony, so they won't think that he's David. And then we started chapter 22, but we'll reread some of those psukim for two reasons. Reason number one is that usually the book of Shmuel was written by, this part at least, was written by the prophet Shmuel. Later parts were written by other prophets, which we'll discuss in a second. But this part was written by the prophet Shmuel. Some of the events, or most of the events, are recounted in the book of Chronicles as well, in a much more condensed form. What we have the benefit of is that when we talk about David, especially the trials and tribulation period of his life, we have his perspective from Tehillim. Tehillim, he expressed in Tehillim his state of mind, his mood, his thoughts, his feelings at the moment when those events were happening. There is a statement by God that Zohar is stating how God describes the Torah. So they said that God describes the Torah that Ana nafshik tavit yaveh, that I, God says, I wrote my soul on a parchment and gave it to you. That's the Torah. So that's the soul of God, so to speak. You know, to the extent that we can imagine what God is, the soul of God is. He put himself into the Torah. Similarly, when the rabbis wrote, our greats wrote their books, they put their heart and soul in it. So when David wrote it, it gives us a very interesting perspective. Now, we're not going to make this a Tehillim class, but as we go along, we will try to mention some highlights from where in Tehillim the events that we're discussing are mentioned, and what was the feeling of David at the time when he wrote it and expressed it in Tehillim. So I wanted to start again the first couple of psukim of Perek Chavbet. The other reason I feel that we need to look at it again is that those are terrible, terrible events, especially the event of Nov, where Saul basically destroyed the whole city, killed all of the priests, all of the Kohanim in that city, accusing them of colluding and conspiring with David. It's not easy to explain those things. It's not easy to understand what happens over there. And this commentary, Da'at Sofrim, has a very positive and a very he makes everything sound and feel much more palatable and less harsh and less crazy, as some other commentators do. So I feel that, if we learn it according to his point of view, we'll benefit from it. So וילך דוד משם וימלא 22:1 וילך דוד משם וימלא אל מערת הדולם וישמעו אחיו וכל בית אביו וירדו אליו שמה. So David is, after escaping the Philistines, he went to the city of the Philistines and right away was recognized and his life was in danger again. So now he is escaping to a cave, like one of the like a hoodlum, like a robber, He's escaping to a cave, and he is expressing this the horror that he felt, the loneliness that he felt. He is expressing in chapter 57 of Tehillim, and he's basically and in all of those chapters that are dealing with his refugee state, there is a very strong talk against those people who are not acting correctly, that are going against him for no reason, that are trying to trip him. But it always ends up with an uplifting message of hope and looking forward and believing that it's going to be better. Now, one of the reasons that he's expressing it here the way he does, which we'll see in a second, he is not sure himself that he's going to survive this. Despite the fact that he was inaugurated chosen by Shmuel to be the next king, it doesn't seem like it's going well. And he's not sure, maybe he did something wrong, and maybe God changed his mind, just like he changed his mind about Saul. Who knows? Saul didn't do something right, so he's out. So maybe David is not going to even get in before, he's out before he's in. So he's very, very unsure. And so he's praying to God, Chaneni Elokim, and he's which is here in Tehillim 57, and he's mentioning the people like Doeg, the people who are the advisors of Saul, who turned against him, and he's saying that their teeth are like a spear, and their tongue is like arrows, and a very sharp sword, because that's all it is. He didn't do anything. It was just they talked against him, lashon hara, and that's all there is to it. He didn't do anything. There was nothing, not in his heart, not in his actions, he's basically mentioning the fact that he was playing the violin over there, and ura kvodi ura nevel v'chinor ha'ir hashachar. He let me play again. Let the morning, the dawn rise again, and I'll be able to play again. In your honor, God. And then he finishes on an uplifting note. So I think that it's important as we go through those psukim to have side by side Psalms, so we can see how he felt about it. Because what we're reading now in Shmuel, that's the words of Shmuel, that's the feelings of Shmuel.
Question.
Yes.
At this time, did David know that he was destined to be king?
Yes, because Shmuel had the ceremony, which we'll see in a second. He had the ceremony before he was selected to be the violinist of the king. He went there to choose him. And now, his brothers, at least 3 of his brothers, were very loyal to Saul. They were the soldiers. They were involved in Saul's army. And if you recall, when there was the standoff between the Philistines and the Jews, and Goliath would come and curse the Jews every morning and evening, they were there. And David was sent by his father to see them, to check how they are, because it took 40 days of a stalemate. And they didn't have food, they didn't have, new underwear, whatever, and they needed some supplies. So he sent David with the stuff to give them, and with some gifts for their officers. So now they were very close to their part of the army. They were loyalists, and now they felt that because of David's relationship with Saul soured so quickly and so badly, they felt they need to run away. They felt that they're going to be accused of trying to arrange a coup. So they joined him in the me'ara, in the cave, and all of his family did. And what happened is, one of the things that caused them to do it is because Saul was referring to David as Ben Ishai, the son of Ishai, hinting whenever he was upset with him, whenever he wanted to accuse him of something, Ben Ishai is it. So Ishai himself and all of his family felt, okay, we are in it too. It's not like we're not separated from David, and it doesn't matter how loyal we were to Saul. So they came down. Now, on top of it, he's sitting in a cave. ויקבצו אליו כל איש מצור וכל איש אשר לא נושא וכל איש מר נפש ויהיה להם לשר ויהיו עמו כ400 איש. So, on top of it, a lot of hoodlums, a lot of people with difficulties, financial, mental problems with the king, they all came and joined him, and 400 people joined him in that cave. Now, what happened is that David, sitting in a cave, somehow the word got out where he is, because people were streaming to come to him. They knew where to go. So, and he sees people coming from afar, and he doesn't know who they are. Are they enemies or a friend or foes, right? He didn't know what to do, and he didn't know their past, and they're sort of there. And you can imagine that some of those people that they were upset, and maybe some of them mentally challenged, were not easy, people that you can say, shoo, go away. They're not easy to deal with. So he kept them there. They were around him for about a year, less than a year. And some people say that he turned them around and made them more healthier and happier and better people. Some say that they sort of dropped out little by little. But all of that information of where David is, and the fact that there is a massive amount of people, 400 people, is a big gathering, and people are coming from all over to join him, plus the family, which also he had 7 brothers, and they had wives, and they had children, and his parents. I mean, we're talking about probably close to 500 people total that gathered. Saul is looking at it and saying, aha, so whatever I was thinking before all along is right. They are planning a coup. They're all gathering and getting ready to throw me, to topple me, to overthrow. Now, so this whole feeling in the country, and this whole feeling towards him, David is expressing in chapter 58. Okay, and he's at this point he's mentioning the fact that there is a sour, very difficult feeling in the country. If you have so many people that are upset, financially oppressed, they're challenged, they're having problems with the king perhaps, it's and so many of them so quickly, there is a problem there. And he's expressing it that, you have...
It's like the Bernie Sanders follow.
Exactly. And he's here, this is a one place that he's calling in a very severe way and saying that all those people that stirred this pot and stirred the problem and created a problem, he's saying that God should destroy their teeth in their mouths, because the mouth was talking. That's what he expressed before, and the teeth were biting. So destroy that weapon of theirs, and miltaot kfirim netot, and you should shatter the jaws of those lions. And now it's a very serious indictment, and we will see that this bad feeling towards some of those people continues with other chapters as we go through and he's eventually is going to talk to them as if they're dogs. We will see there are several references to this kind of a behavior, because a dog barks and bites and goes around, runs around in a city at night, and anybody who walks, just take a walk, they bother. So it's what? They attack, right? Anyway, so Vayelech David. So from there, David goes. Vayelech David misham mitzpeh Moab. So then, and this is what I didn't understand last time, and another reason why we repeating it. David went mitzpeh Moab. Why did he go to Moab? He's in this cave. He realized that everybody knows where he is because all those Mishugoyim, all those people are streaming to him. He needs to bolt out. He needs to get out of there. So he goes again outside of the country to the other side. He was in the west, in the Philistines near the shore. Now he's going across the Jordan to Moab. Why did he go to Moab? Any guess?
Mishpocha.
Exactly. Ishkoyach, Mishpocha. Very good. That's where he comes from. Ruth was the daughter of the king of Moab, right? So he felt maybe they will be safe somehow. Now, what happened to the king of Moab? That's like 10 generations ago family, right? It's not like last week, right? So the king of Moab is trying to be, he knows that Saul is fierce. He had experience, he saw before that the neighbors, the Ammonites, got beaten up really badly by Saul. So he feels, let me be nice with him, let me have him as an ally. And what better, gift I can give him than to hand him over David and his family. So he had in his heart not exactly feeling family-ish, he didn't feel like this is a good Thanksgiving dinner with the family, when David shows up with 400 people. So David understands that he cannot stay there, but he wants at least to deposit his parents and his family there, and he's not asking him to take care of the 400 people, but just the family. And as we said before, as soon as David leaves soon, he will, the king of Moab will kill his parents and all of his brothers except of one brother. It wasn't after all a safe place, and that will also, he will become way more bitter and way more upset as a result of that, obviously, losing his entire family while running from Saul, doing nothing. I just played for you, and now because of you I had to run. My whole family is killed. I mean, this is like total devastation within days. We're not talking about a long time. A couple of months since Goliath, since he even became close to Saul. 2, 3, 4 months now. It can't be more than that.
So why did he take the 400 guys with him?
They attached themselves to him. He just couldn't really.
Get rid of him.
He was trying, but then he used them. He found that maybe they can be useful. In protection or something. So, וינחם את פני מלך מואב וישבו עמו כל ימי היות דוד במצודה. So, the king of Moab, while David and the 400 men were there, didn't want to cause any harm right away because it's 400 people, that can harm him back. So as long as they were in the fort, in the Metzudah, the king of Moab just cooperated. But they were not there for long enough time because of the next sentence. Here comes Vayomer Gad Hanavi El David. So here comes a gentleman, a new personality we didn't meet yet. His name is Gad. Okay, Gad was a seer, Gad HaChozeh, or he's also called Gad HaNavi. Gad HaNavi, and there was Shmuel the prophet, and there was Gad the prophet, and there was another gentleman called Natan, the prophet Natan. Those three prophets were the leaders of the generation. Shmuel was the elder, the oldest one, and he passed away. We're a couple of chapters, a few months before Shmuel is passing away at the age of 52. So he wrote, Shmuel wrote everything up to chapter 25, I think, where he passes away. Now, there is 31 chapters here, and another whole book with another 24 chapters that's also called Shmuel. So who wrote that? Gad and Natan were the other prophets that took over from Shmuel and continued the book and continue documenting the events of the time. Now, Gad was a very important guy at the time. It was very influential. He, together with Shmuel, reestablished the singing of the Levites at the Mikdash. Okay, apparently it's a tradition that occurred in the I don't know actually if it occurred before. I don't know if it was renewed or invented. I'm not sure. I have to check that. But he, at the very least, he reestablished the singing of the Levites at the Bet HaMikdash, which is a tradition that was carried throughout the first temple, the second temple, and God willing, the third temple. The Levite was singing and will sing again. So that's one thing that he did. Another thing that he's responsible for, he was the one helping David with the blueprints of Bet HaMikdash. Eventually, at the end of the book, when David is preparing the blueprints and handing it over to his son, because he is not the one that was slated to actually build the first temple. So the actual details were not coming out of David's head. They were given to him by God. Now, God was mentioned 3 times basically in the Tanakh. He came to see David 3 times. And each one of those times it was in order to give him direction, to tell him what to do. The other guy, the other prophet, Natan, he used to come and be the stick. He is the carrot and he is the stick. He would help David more in terms of when things went wrong with Bathsheba, handling this whole situation throughout the whole interaction with Bathsheba and later on interaction with his sons. So he would be more dealing with different situations. Here God is just basically not coming to tell him he did something wrong. He's just giving advice. This is what you should do next.
Natan appears when David is at his deathbed.
Yes, Natan was appearing throughout until then. Now, David at this point, by the way, is about 30 years old. Okay, it's a few months, a little short of 30. David lived for 70 years, and he was king 40 years. And we are several months before he becomes king. So we're talking about almost 30. So he's not. He's not very young. His parents are older. He's the youngest child So all of his brothers and sisters are way older than that, and his parents even more than that. So you can imagine that Ishai was 80 at the time or so. My estimation, I don't know, I didn't see it anywhere, but anyway, so what does God tells David? He comes and tells David, Lo teshev b'metzudah, get out of here. You can't sit here. Because God knows that the king of Moab is not exactly a friend. He's not mishpocha, as we said. Okay? And sooner or later he will find ways to give David away back, to either kill him and give him, or just arrange for Saul to come and take him somehow. So he's not safe over here. Now, he tells him, Lechu bata lecha eretz Yehuda, ve'elech David ve'avo ya'acharet. So he tells him, go to the land of Yehuda. Now, this is the only time, by the way, that God came to David while in exile. The other times, David would just ask the Urim v'Tumim, the breastplates, which we'll see soon how the breastplates got to him, because right now the breastplates are in Nov, in the city of the priests, right, with the high priest. But soon the high priest is going to die, and one of the descendants will take the breastplates and join. So that will be the communication, the method of communication, the means of communication between God and David from that point on. This is the only time that a human prophet was sent to tell him what to do. Now, so he tells him to try to avoid the traps. Because, yes, God chose him to be a king, and that's, he should do this. I mean, he will be able to be a king, but God is not going to provide, extraordinary measures of miracles to make that happen. You have to take care of yourself throughout natural means. So if you know that there is a trap, you don't go and, jump to the trap and say, oh, God, I need to be a king, save me. So that's the message. He needs to really work on it. So, and from that point on, David is really changing places. I don't know if he's not sleeping in the same bed 2 nights in a row, but definitely not many nights in a row. He's keep walking from place to place to place to place, and he keeps avoiding cities. We will see later that the next stop is going to be another city, and he right away being told, listen, it's not safe for you here, because the city is you have always good souls that are like those dogs that are running around, and So his second stop now is another desolate place. It's a forest, Yar Charet. Now, the forest is in the area of the people of Yehuda. The people of Yehuda, that's his people, right? But he's not so, he can't trust anybody. He feels that he cannot trust anybody, including his own tribe. Why? If we go back to the story of Shimshon HaGibor, right? Shimshon was from the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan was a guest they couldn't find, they were not able, they didn't get enough support from the other tribes to capture their land, their plot, which was under the Philistines and the Amorites, which is around Tel Aviv area, right? They were not, even then the Jewish people couldn't get into Tel Aviv. I'm kidding. So they were basically guests. They were guests in the area of Yehuda. Now, he became a judge, but he was a loner, and he would go around and fight and taunt the Philistines, burn their fields, take the gates. Eventually, they came and they said, we're going to fight with you, all the Jewish people, unless you give him to us. And the tribe of Yehuda, 3,000 people of the tribe of Yehuda came, found Shimshon, and hand him over to the Philistines. And so David said, I'm not sure I can trust my own people, and we'll see later that Saul does not trust his own tribe either. the whole feeling in the country was not good, not cohesive, no unity. And David expresses it in chapter 22 in Psalms. And in chapter 22 in Psalms, that's where the dogs come in. All right? He says, first of all, he says that all of those who sees him are laughing at him, and Abirei Bashan Kitruni, and all of those, Abirei, Abir is a warrior. A noble guy, right? The nobles of the Bashan. The Bashan is the mountains where the Moab are. They're closing in on me because he just heard that his parents and all of his family died over there. And then he says, "Ki savevuni klavim," because I'm surrounded by dogs. Adat meriim ekifuni, and a group of people who wants to hurt me are surrounding me. And they're holding me in my hands and feet, and he's crying to God, "Atzila mecherev nafshi miyad kelev yechidati." Save my soul from a sword, and saved the highest level of the neshama, the soul of a Jew has 5 parts to it, and the highest part is called yechida, which is means one. It's the same Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, one. When we say one, our one is connected to his one. So that's the soul, that's the part of one that's inside us. It's called Yechida. So he said, save my Yechida from a dog. Save my soul from a dog who wants to bark me. And I saw, actually, I was once at there is a unit with the Canaan dogs in Israel. And they have that verse as the verse of the unit, Anyway, but he's crying that he's trying to spread the name of God amongst his brothers, and all he gets in return is just hardship. But again, it all ends up very positive. All of Psalms end up on a positive note. Believe in God, pray to God. He's going to come. It's all going to turn around. It's all something that we need to accomplish. It's not against us. It's just our mission in life. We can, I guess, relate to it as well. ושאול, so וישמע שאול, where were we? Yeah. וישמע שאול כי נודע דוד ואנשים אשר איתו. So Saul is hearing that the word spread and got to Saul very quickly as well, that David is known amongst all the people where he is, and he has people with him. So Saul is feeling so trapped in his own skin and in his own palace. He's going out. ושאול יושב בגבעה תחת האש אל ברמה. He's going out. He's not sitting in his home. He's going to the Ramah. Ramah is the place where Shmuel is. Shmuel, the old Shmuel, is living in the Ramah. He feels that the closer that he's going to be to Shmuel, maybe that will help him, that he will survive, because he feels that the whole ground is shaking. And the rabbis are saying is that he was around at this time only because of the prayer of Shmuel. Shmuel prayed to God, please don't destroy the king that you told me to anoint. Don't destroy him. Don't kill him. Don't replace him while I'm alive. So, because Shmuel is alive, Saul is still a king right now. As soon as Shmuel dies, very shortly thereafter, a few months later, Saul is gone as well. So he's there. So he's sitting outside, not feeling comfortable with himself and with the situation. He has his spear in his hand, the same spear that he tried to kill David a couple of times with. And all of his servants are around him, trying to help him. So he lashes out at them. And that's called the rebuke of Saul. So Saul starts basically he's not trusting anybody himself. He's not trusting that the people around him are going to be with him. Because his own son, he feels betrayed him, went with David. Okay? So definitely the people who are from the tribe of Benjamin, who are not family, are not to be trusted. And we will see later that some of those people would end up, after he died, after Saul died, they killed his grandson, Mephibosheth. They killed his grandson, who was a disabled person. They killed him, beheaded him, and brought the head to David, thinking that David is going to be happy. Oh, you got David was very upset with them, and did to them what they did to the kid. But he swore to Jonathan, but he also didn't feel that this is the way to act. When Saul died, he was very, very upset. He wasn't happy that now I don't have to run around anymore. What we have here is not just what's written on the surface. We have a spiritual war between the forces of Saul and the forces of David. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, a whole discussion about it. But it's not. He was not trying to. He didn't have any ill feelings against Saul. He thought that Saul, till the last moment, he is chosen by God. Is really the. Anyway, so.
He himself could have killed him.
And he himself twice, yeah. So Saul is rebuking everybody around him, and he's telling them, everything that I saw is right. When he had visions and felt bad about it, it's turning out to be exactly what I said. You see, that David is running around and gathering people, and he told them, Shimuna bnei yemini, listen to me. גם לכולכם ייתן בן אישה שדות וכרמים לכולכם, ישים שרי אלפים ושרי מאות. He tells them as follows. Do you think that if you get rid of me and put David in charge, you're going to have it better? That you're going to be better off? You're going to get fields and orchards, and he's going to give you high-paying jobs. Sarei alafim, sarei meot. Sar alafim is one guy over 1,000. Sarei meot is one guy over 100. How many of those can you have? You can all be. You have the tribe of Benjamin, hundreds of people. You cannot all be the minister of the thousands, Now, he was not giving them and was not bribing them with all kinds of gifts and fields. And that was something that he felt now. Maybe that's what they're looking for, because that's what a normal king on the outside would do. Right away, a king comes in, brings all of his cronies, give them, the fields and orchards and good positions and cars and whatever, and good paying jobs, so they'll be loyal, because he knows that loyalty is not really something that comes naturally. You need to buy it. So, what? Doesn't come cheap. So, now, what Shmuel told them, when they asked for a king, they told him, don't think that a Jewish king is like a king everywhere else. It's not the same. You cannot expect the same type of corruption and the same type of treatment, the same type of ways. It's a spiritual position. It's a leadership position. It's someone who really deserves to be a king. So Saul didn't go around bribing people. And now he's thinking to himself, maybe those guys are waiting for some crumbs, and I don't give him anything. So you think you have it better with David? No, don't think so. It's not something that you're going to get. Kikshartem, and then he accuses them of collusion. The word of the year, right? Collusion. Kikshartem kulchem alai ve'en goleh et ozni. You all conspired against me, and nobody is telling me. Bichrot bni ben Ishai. Nobody told me that my son was going around with Ben Ishai. It was obvious. It was obvious to anybody and to everybody around that they're friends, and nobody told me. How come you didn't tell me that they're going with this, outlaw that's going to throw me out, overthrow me now? Ve'en choleh mikem alai. And nobody is feeling my pain Nobody is becoming sick because I'm in danger. Nobody really cares. וגולה את אוזני כי הקים בני את עבדי עליי לעורף כיום הזה. Because what happens is my son propped up my enemy, my servant to be an enemy, to ambush me. And nobody is telling me anything. And he sort of laments that the fact that the sons of Eli was the leader, the last judge, right before Shmuel, and his sons tried to benefit improperly from the work in Bet HaMikdash. And so they went off the derech, they went off the bitten, they didn't do the right thing. So his sons didn't do the right thing, and therefore the Shiloh, Mikdash Shiloh was destroyed. And then the sons of Shmuel also didn't act properly. He made them judges in Be'er Sheva, and over there they created, they a lot of infrastructure and a lot of positions and a lot of they needed a lot of cars and a lot of messengers, whatever transportation to create an unnecessary apparatus for themselves. So they also, and the Jew says, we don't want this. We want a king. So he saw the sons of Shmuel, of Eli didn't act right. The sons of Shmuel didn't act right. And now he says, that's the way it is. Now my son is not acting right. And he's going against what I taught him and what it should be. So he's sort of upset, lamenting it, and accusing everybody around him for not telling him. I know you can't do anything anymore right now about David because David is not here, and you can't really, bring him to me. But at the very least, tell me, Vayan doeg Adomi, v'hu nitzav alav de Shaul. So now, doeg Adomi, which was the head of the Sanhedrin at the time, he was the head of the court system at the time, and he was a close advisor to Saul, and he couldn't stand David. And he was, they had, we will see soon, probably next time, they had all kinds of halachic discussions and disagreements, which David was right, the halacha according to David. So David was right, and he couldn't stand that David is challenging him because he's a young kid, and he's supposed to be, he's older. He was at that time about 32, 33 years of age. He died at 34, Doeg, half of his years.
We came across his name earlier.
Yes. He's the guy. He's the. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
He's the guy that will snitch to, that was sitting in Shiloh when David passed by and received the food and the sword, from the bread and the food, right? Exactly. So he was there. So Doeg saw that Saul is very upset. Now, he didn't tell him before anything. He didn't tell him that he saw David. He saw him already for several days, but he didn't tell him anything. But now he saw how upset Saul is, and he thought two things. Number one, here's an opportunity to get rid of David. Number two, he's so upset, if he will realize that I was there and I didn't tell him, I'll be the next, the next to die here. So he right away volunteers, and he was in charge of the Avdei Shaul. He was standing there. I saw him. Let me tell you, you ask, you want to be told? I saw him. Now, the information will not be very good if you just saw him, riding on the turnpike, and I just saw him, and so what? Now he can assign blame to someone else, to the high priest Achimelech, and get him in trouble. Now it's valuable information, and again, because he's in such high position, he doesn't tell much lies or at all lies. He just give selected information and get him in trouble this way. And he told him, "Vayishalo ba'Hashem v'tzeda natan lo." So Achimelech asked in the breastplate for him, and he's not supposed to because this is only for the king. וצידה נתן לו, and he gave him food. ואת חרב גוליית הפלישתי נתן לו, and he gave him the sword of Goliath. So now he's in big trouble, and I think we have to finish. But what will happen is the king is going to call them all and confront them, and eventually execute them or have them killed. So, but we'll talk about that next time.